When I was a stand-in for the White Moonlight, Damon paid me 6 figures every month. After he hit rock bottom, I quoted him a price. "I'll give you 600. He complained, "You're so stingy. One more word and I'll knock off 100. He gritted his teeth. Deal. Now we're like a wealthy mistress and her lowly servant, but the power lies with me. I'm a stand-in. To become Damon's White Moonlight substitute, I meticulously planned everything. Fortune smiled upon me. I share the same tier mole as his White Moonlight. In short, through my strategic maneuvers, Damon became my long-term meal ticket. Damon once declared in front of many people, "You both are called Carolyn. One is the love of my life. The other exists to please me." His true love was Carolyn. I was Carolyn, but I didn't care. My sole goal was to become wealthy. I knew myself well relying on brains or brawn to get rich. I need another 500 years. So I set my sights on the naive, rich heir. Damon was genuinely loaded and genuinely smit with Caroline, who adored his older brother. On the very night Carolyn and Andrew got engaged, I made my move. To match Caroline's persona, I wore a white dress and a waist-length wig when I appeared at Damon's drunken gathering. Everything unfolded smoothly. I snapped intimate photos with Damon, thinking that if the plan failed, I could at least blackmail him for a fortune with these pictures. But Damon was more cooperative than I expected. He even volunteered to draft a contract. "You won't shortchange me, right?" I asked tentatively. Damon didn't answer my question. He pulled up his pants and said, "Next time, skip the wig. You look better with short hair." This guy was peculiar. I scoured all of Caroline's social media accounts, nothing but jet black straight hair everywhere. Shouldn't a stand-in look as similar as possible? Yet here he was. Did he think I'd insulted his sacred goddess? No time to dwell on it. I dressed and rushed straight to the law firm Damon specified. A 6-figure allowance every second delayed in signing that contract felt like a loss. Even though I was now a small-time rich lady earning 6 figures a month, I still diligently kept my editing job. Not for any other reason, but mainly because it provided insurance coverage. One day, while I was locked in a battle of wits with my author, Damon suddenly called. "Meet me on the rooftop of the mall." "I'll be waiting there." I was puzzled. In the 3 years I'd known Damon, he'd never contacted me during the daytime on a workday. I whispered back, "Bro, taking time off will cost me my perfect attendance bonus." "I'll compensate you." Even though I knew Damon wouldn't skimp on such a small sum, I decided to haggle anyway. I mostly enjoy the sense of value my work gives me. Triple? The feeling of building wealth through hard work is truly fulfilling. 5 times. Cut the crap. "Your ride's waiting downstairs." I instantly perked up. After telling my author, "Write it or leave it," I headed downstairs and got into the car Damon had sent. Just like in TV shows, the moment I arrived, a team swarmed around me to get me ready. Some picking clothes, some doing makeup, some styling my hair. Once ready, I stared at my reflection. Long hair flowing, a white dress falling past my knees. Confused, I looked at Damon. Didn't he hate it when I wore long wigs? But Damon seemed pleased, whisking me straight to a hotel reserved for VIP clients. When I saw the woman beside Andrew, I instantly understood why Damon had dressed me like this. Carolyn was back. Damon liked Carolyn, but Carolyn liked Andrew. Perhaps emboldened by her affection, Andrew's attitude toward her was always appease her when she's angry, but never change. So even though they were engaged, Carolyn caught him with someone else. Furious, she left for Germany and stayed gone for 3 years. Damon beside me was completely fixated on the woman before him, dressed almost identically to me. I felt like a clown. Under these circumstances, I couldn't let myself be the one at a disadvantage. I took hold of Damon's wrist and leaned close to his ear. "Using me to upset Carolyn will cost you extra." If looks could speak, I guess Damon's glance at me just then said, "Carolyn, you've lost your mind over money." When I didn't let go of his wrist for a long time, Damon reluctantly nodded. Only then did I release his hand with a smile, mouthing, "Have fun." Damon was busy with Carolyn, leaving me free to eat and drink in the lounge, enjoying myself. Suddenly, Andrew approached me. All alone? I glanced at him. He bore such a striking resemblance to Damon, yet his presence was far less commanding. I couldn't fathom what Carolyn saw in him. Young Master John clearly saw me enter with your brother. Why resort to such a cliched opening line? You're intriguing, Andrew said, his manner flirtatious as he attempted to close the distance between us by smoothing the stray strands of hair on my face. I deftly sidestepped him, smiling as I whispered in his ear, while I do love money, I do have professional integrity. I'm merely a stand-in for Miss Carolyn, hired by your brother. I receive a fixed monthly salary. If Mr. Andrew is truly interested in me, perhaps he should wait until our contract expires before approaching me. Before leaving Andrew, I felt two burning gazes. Glancing over, I saw Carolyn and Damon. This trio was quite the interesting family. After eating and drinking my fill, I headed to the dressing room to touch up my makeup, only to run into Caroline. She spotted me in the mirror, too. Just as I opened my mouth to greet her, Caroline spoke. Some people have hands and feet. Why not use them for something decent? Flirting with your brother while coming on to his older sibling? Anyone watching would think you were born with a dirty mind. Then, feigning innocence as if she'd just noticed me. Miss Carolyn, my apologies. I didn't realize anyone was here. I smiled and nodded in greeting before placing my phone to my ear. Some people are so pure, unable to control their own fiancé, yet get all cozy with someone else's brother. You think they're into forbidden love or something. Caroline's face flushed crimson with anger. I mimicked her innocent expression. My apologies, Miss Caroline. My crude words must have polluted your pristine ears. As Caroline walked past me, she deliberately bumped into me. Once outside, she started screaming that her diamond ring was missing Andrew's engagement gift, which she treasured beyond measure. The entire hotel staff mobilized to search for it. Andrew tried to comfort her, saying it was just a ring, he could buy her 10 more. But Caroline wouldn't let it go. This isn't just any ring. It's our engagement ring. I remember taking it off to wash my hands and leaving it by the sink. Some sticky-fingered thief must have snatched it. As she spoke, Caroline's eyes never left me. With all the prominent figures present, people whose names were known to everyone, I was the only common companion Damon had brought. The moment Caroline finished speaking, all eyes turned to me. I knew the diamond ring was in my bag now, having fallen in when Caroline bumped into me earlier, but I didn't panic. I walked over to Damon and whispered, "The ring is in my bag." Damon looked shocked but didn't make a scene. Instead, he pulled me aside to ask what had happened. Seeing he was reasonable, I decided to give him a favor. Your beloved threw it in there, trying to frame me. But she's dim-witted didn't notice the dressing room has surveillance too. What do you think would happen if I blew this whole thing wide open? Damon instantly got my meaning, tilting his head with a resigned shrug. How much? I handed him the ring. Depends on how sincere you are about saving your white moonlight. Damon raised the ring and announced, "Ring found." His raised arm conveniently blocked his mouth as he spoke to me. Just wait for your payment. After Caroline returned, Damon came looking for me far less often, and I was happy to have the peace. Little did I expect Andrew would come find me instead. He was waiting downstairs at our office building, dressed in a crisp pink suit, leaning against his 7-figure sports car. He looked downright flashy. Miss Carolyn looks so much better with short hair. Why insist on wearing a wig? I greeted him politely, having no intention of further interaction. Just as I was about to walk past him, he suddenly grabbed my arm. I'd like to take Miss Carolyn out to dinner. Would Miss Carolyn be so kind as to grant me the honor? I glanced at his hand on my arm. He smiled and let go. My apologies. I've said before, Mr. Andrew, if you're interested in booking me, you'd be better off waiting until my contract expires. Andrew not only persisted, but grew more intrigued by my repeated refusals. How much would it take for Miss Carolyn to grace me with her company for dinner? Without hesitation, I replied, 100 million. Andrew was speechless. Before driving off, he rolled down his window. If Miss Carolyn changes her mind, give me a call anytime. This time he'd wised up, setting a price ceiling. I'd gladly pay 6 figures for Miss Carolyn to dine with me, if you grant me the honor. I smiled faintly. No need to see me off. As Andrew's car faded into the distance, Damon suddenly materialized from nowhere. I turned just in time to see his massive face looming over me, nearly sending me flying backward in fright. My heart settled as I quipped, "You two are something else. Think I'm some tourist attraction? Everyone's here to check me out." Damon ignored my sarcasm and pressed, "What did he want with you?" His tone was off, so I teased, "What? Jealous?" Seeing no reaction, I pressed further. "It's all your family's money anyway. Who I spend it with doesn't matter." The moment the words left my mouth, I saw Damon's darkening expression and knew I'd gone too far, but words spoken couldn't be unsaid. Steeling myself, I stubbornly insisted I was in the right. "You spent over half a month with Carolyn, didn't you?" Damon's expression darkened further. Without giving me a chance to say another word, he shoved me into the car and sped straight to his apartment. The door barely closed before Damon aggressively pinned me against the wall. His arms wrapped around my waist as he leaned in for a kiss. I instinctively turned my face away, but he anticipated my move. His hand shot up, cupping my chin and forcing my face back toward him. To prevent me from pulling away again, he pinned both my hands in his palms. Suddenly, his phone rang. Without hesitation, he hung up and tossed it aside, resuming his earlier action. My arms pressed against the cold, hard wall, sending a shiver through me. "Cold?" Damon asked, breathing heavily. I nodded. He picked me up and carried me into the bedroom. Just as he was about to kiss me, the phone beside us rang again. Damon hadn't intended to answer it, but he caught the caller's name out of the corner of his eye. Worried the person on the other end might notice something was off, he took a deep breath before picking up. Damon's voice was dripping with affection. "What is it, Carolyn?" Even though I knew it was coming, hearing that name still made my heart sink. "Got it. I'll be right over." After hanging up, Damon nestled into the crook of my neck, gently inhaling my scent, as if recharging. I nudged him. "Come on." "Your sweetheart's waiting impatiently." Damon didn't respond. Instead, he lifted his eyes to me, looking utterly aggrieved. "Can't you just ask me to stay?" Just as I was flustered by the sudden reversal, Damon stood up, smoothed his clothes, and I heard the door close. I sighed. The Damon who'd just been acting so needy must have been a figment of my imagination. 2 months had passed since I last saw Damon. My life had grown quiet work, commute, occasionally grabbing hot pot with friends. I didn't have many friends. Those I hung out with had known me at least 5 years, so we spoke without reservation. Zoe grumbled while scooping shrimp balls. "Your boyfriend's useless." "He didn't even spend your birthday with you," Hannah chimed in. "Exactly. Did he even get you a gift? If he didn't, dump him already." Once, Damon and I were out shopping when we ran into Zoe and Hannah. They grabbed my arms, accusing me of prioritizing my boyfriend over our friendship and not telling them about him. I watched Damon squirm in awkwardness. I couldn't exactly tell them he was the sugar daddy spending 6 figures a month to support me. Just as I hesitated over how to introduce Damon, he smiled and walked over to Zoe and Hannah. With polite, gentlemanly manners, he said, "Hello, I'm Carolyn's boyfriend. My name is Damon. Carolyn hasn't quite accepted me yet, so she hasn't introduced me to you too." Zoe and Hannah pulled me aside and whispered, "You're not satisfied with someone this good?" I couldn't argue, so I just nodded vaguely. Satisfied. To earn their approval, Damon treated the 3 of us to an ultra-luxury Japanese restaurant. From that day on, they firmly believed Damon was my boyfriend. After dinner, the 3 of us hit up KTV for a while. By the time we headed home, it was nearly 10 o'clock. The moment I opened the door, I spotted Damon's leather shoes by the entrance. I tentatively called out his name. "Boss? Boss, is that you? Why didn't you turn on the lights?" Before I could finish, Damon emerged from the bedroom carrying a cake with candles, singing "Happy Birthday" in his off-key voice. The candlelight softened his usually sharp profile. In that instant, I felt something surge into the softest part of my heart. Damon approached, suddenly flustered. Holding the cake with one hand, he wiped my tears with the other. Why are you crying? His words only made my tears flood like a burst dam. I sobbed uncontrollably. Damon, you sing horribly. We both knew exactly why I'd broken down, yet neither of us mentioned it. After wiping my tears with a Hermes bag, Damon pulled me close to make a wish. I pressed my palms together reverently. I wish Damon would never abandon me. Feeling his intense gaze fixed on me, I added just as the atmosphere grew tender. So I'll always have a 6-figure income every month. Damon nudged my head. Money-grubbing girl, wishes stop working once you say them out loud. Hearing that, I closed my eyes again to make my wish. What did you wish for this time? Damon leaned in to ask. Not telling you. It won't come true if I say it. Damon declared with his usual financial swagger. Aren't I your wish-granting genie? How am I supposed to make your wishes come true if I don't know what they are? He had a point, so I looked at him expectantly. My wish is for Damon to increase my monthly income from 6 figures to 7. Damon smiled faintly and promptly blew out my candles. I slapped him hard on the back. Damon grinned sheepishly. Don't be mad. I have an extra gift for you. Seeing the box he pulled out was fairly well packaged, my anger subsided for the moment. But when I pulled out a thin, cute nightgown from the box and saw Damon's expression, I knew my earlier anger was nothing compared to what I felt now. Damon, this is the gift you gave yourself, right? Damon protested. It's my birthday, how economical of you to give me the same present twice. I was speechless. And I'm supposed to thank you for your thoughtful reminder. He grew even more smug. If you really want to thank me, focus right now. Little did I know that right after Damon left this morning, a plague of a visitor arrived. When I saw Caroline's face, I really didn't want to open the door. But she was charging at it like she intended to smash it down. I was forced to open it, and Miss Princess immediately started demanding I let Damon off the hook. I leaned against the wall, sighing helplessly. Sis, I signed a contract with the boss. It's a willing buyer, willing seller deal. He deposits 6 figures into my account every month. You expect me to let him off? Carolyn was panting heavily, clearly furious. Last night, I rejected Damon. That's why he came to you. You're nothing but my stand-in. Hearing Caroline's words, my heart sank, but I still feigned indifference. I knew I was your stand-in from the start. So what? Carolyn probably hadn't seen someone so utterly reckless before, softening her tone. Please leave Damon. How many years are left on your contract? I'll make up the difference in money, as long as you leave him. Caroline's earnest expression amused me. I know my place. Do you? Barge into your brother-in-law's contract lover's home spouting nonsense? Offering to pay out of your own pocket just to force me away from Damon. Who do you really love? Your brother? Your husband? Or do you just enjoy playing both sides? Caroline's expression darkened as I hit the nail on the head. It's not for myself. It's for Damon. His father found out Damon kept someone who looks like me on the side and is threatening to disown him. Caroline's words froze me in place. For a moment, I couldn't tell if Damon was being disowned because of me or because of Caroline. Days passed after Caroline left, and Damon never came looking for me. I dialed Damon's number on my phone, hesitated for ages, and still didn't press send. After days of thinking, I still didn't know what to say to him. Just as I put my phone down, the doorbell rang. Assuming it was the takeout I'd ordered, I opened the door without a second thought. To my surprise, Damon stood there. He didn't look downtrodden from being kicked out. Instead, he radiated an air of ease. Did they really kick you out? I asked. Damon pulled his pockets out to show me, implying he was as broke as a joke. What? Not welcome because I'm penniless. Not exactly. I stepped back to let him in. I just feared you'd really be kicked out because of me. Worried I couldn't afford your rent? Damon grinned like a fool. But I lost my composure. What kind of person do you think I am? All these years, you've given me more than enough. I've invested and made some money, bought several properties. I'm not exactly rolling in it, but I'm financially free. Supporting you isn't out of the question. Damon's eyes lit up. Support me? Perfect. I was worried about being kicked out with no income. I'm young and strong. I'm worth something, right? The mention of money made me tense. In my earlier emotional outburst, I'd just been talking big, never expecting Damon to actually agree. I swallowed hard. How much do you want? Damon slyly tugged at my sleeve. It's not like I get to set the terms. Isn't it up to the boss to decide how much to give? Seeing my hesitation, he pressed on. I'm a jack of all trades. The boss has seen my skills firsthand. He'll give me a fair price. Damon's transformation from cold-hearted tycoon's son to clingy, begging for support mode was so sudden it caught me off guard. I even wondered if getting kicked out had traumatized him. Maybe he needed to see a doctor. Damon frowned. So how much are you offering? I hesitated. You gave me 6 figures before. I can't shortchange you too badly. Let's say a figure close to 6 figures. Damon gritted his teeth as if summoning great resolve. 5 figures is fine. We're old acquaintances. Consider it a friend's discount. Actually, I meant 600. Damon leapt up from the couch. 600. Carolyn, do you have any conscience at all? One more word and I deduct 100. Deal. Seeing me about to speak, Damon quickly cut me off. If you charge me for that, you're truly heartless. I rolled my eyes. Deal. Maybe it was the lack of cash, but Damon suddenly became much more down to earth. Not only did he cook for me himself, but he was also unusually clingy. At a company dinner, I had a few too many drinks. When I opened the door, I found him standing there with a dark expression. Alcohol-fueled, I plopped into his lap and started acting spoiled. Why is the boss so upset? The smell of alcohol on me made his brows furrow even deeper. Look at the time. His tone told me he was genuinely upset, but alcohol had given me courage. Instead of backing down, I wrapped my arms around his neck. Damon rolled his eyes. You know, I worry when you come home this late. I laughed. Worry about me? What kind of relationship do we have that you worry about me? You're not freaking out over your $600, are you? Under my persistent pestering, Damon finally cracked. He picked me up. I'll show you exactly what we are right now. I thought he was taking me to bed and braced myself, but instead, he tossed me into the bathtub. What are you doing? Damon wet my hair with a firm hand, then squeezed foam into it. Hey! I yelled. Damon suddenly softened his touch, apologetically asking, What's wrong? Did I pull your hair too hard? You got shampoo in my eyes. He hurriedly grabbed a towel to wipe the foam away. His actions sobered me up a bit. Leaning my arms on the tub rim, I asked, Why are you suddenly giving me a bath? Didn't you ask what our relationship is? Seeing my confusion deepen, Damon kindly explained, Right now, we're the relationship between a wealthy mistress and her lowly servant. I have to admit, Damon really knows how to handle things. When I stepped on the scale, I was devastated. How could I have gained 10 pounds just from eating Damon's cooking for 2 months? Damon seemed quite pleased with this. Stop laughing. I fumed. Damon shifted from open mockery to quiet chuckles. I'm skipping dinner tonight. Don't bother cooking. I'll just order takeout. I'm craving fried chicken. I was so furious I could barely speak. Are you even human? Damon looked utterly innocent. Why are you yelling at me? I said I'm trying to lose weight. Is it appropriate for you to eat fried chicken right next to me? Damon shrugged his shoulders. What's inappropriate about it? Come dinner time, he showed up carrying a huge box of fried chicken and 2 cans of Coke. I sat in the living room playing with my phone. He plopped the fried chicken in front of me. Eat up, fat girl. You'll get your money's worth. I pretended not to catch the double meaning, stubbornly turning my head away. But Damon seemed to anticipate my move the moment I looked away. A golden fried chicken drumstick appeared right before my eyes. My mouth acted before my brain could catch up, and I took a big bite. Muttering curses under my breath as I ate, Damon chuckled and handed me the Coke. Tired of cursing? Have some Coke to soothe your throat. Just as I opened my mouth to speak, he added, Go ahead and drink it. It's sugar-free. Over time, I'd grown accustomed to Damon's presence. Even the elderly neighbor lady assumed he was my fiancé. But as we spent more time together, I discovered another side of Damon. Though still sharp-tongued, he constantly showed his care through actions. So when Damon took my hand, promising to show me a spectacle, only to lead me to his family's corporate headquarters where Carolyn was waiting, I panicked. Yet seeing Carolyn, Damon actually tightened his grip on my hand. Carolyn approached us. She shot me a hostile glance before smiling and wrapping her arm around Damon's, cooing, "Damon, what's going on here? How did you suddenly become the company's chairman?" Damon kept his distance without showing it, gave a polite greeting, then led me into the company. Watching Damon being surrounded by people at the conference table, a thought flashed through my mind. Could Damon have done this on purpose? After the meeting, Damon took me into his office. The moment he closed the door, his earlier aura vanished. "Ask whatever you want. I'll answer everything now." I guessed Damon liked Caroline, and that hiring me as a stand-in was part of his act to appear a playboy, lulling his parents into lowering their guard. But I hadn't realized we'd known each other for so long. Damon wasn't his mother's biological son. Over 20 years ago, his father had pretended to be single to pursue Damon's birth mother. After winning her over, he vanished. Meanwhile, his real mother discovered she was pregnant. Unwilling to terminate the pregnancy, she stubbornly gave birth to little Damon, even severing ties with her family over it. Damon's birth mother raised him alone. She held firm to her principles. Even though life was hard, even after reading in the newspaper that the man was the head of a major corporation, she never let young Damon seek him out. Without a father, he was often bullied by the other kids in the neighborhood. They threw rocks and punched him. He said that back then only I stepped in to save the day. That's when he fell for me. "You were so brave," Damon said with a smile, as if recalling something amusing. "Almost every boy in the neighborhood was around me then. They surrounded me. I was so embarrassed and angry, I thought I might die right there. I remember it clearly. You seemed to appear like a superhero swooping in to rescue me." Damon's description pulled me into the memory. In my recollection, Damon was tiny, bullied, yet his eyes brimmed with stubbornness and refusal to back down. After that, I took him under my wing as my little brother. Whenever anyone picked on him, I'd fight alongside him. If we couldn't win, I'd beg for mercy with him. Damon respected me too. When we watched TV together, even though he wanted to see Ultraman Tiga, he obediently watched Sailor Moon with me. Later, when his mother fell gravely ill, she reluctantly allowed Damon to return home before her death. Life in that household was harsh. Though wealthy, no one truly cared for him. His father was consumed by business, while Andrew and his mother saw him as nothing but a threat to their inheritance. His stepmother even attempted to kill him multiple times. If not for sheer luck, he wouldn't have survived to this day. It was then he learned to hide. Only by appearing as a useless, aimless playboy could he pose no threat to Andrew and his mother and thus stay alive. Carolyn was one of the greatest threats to his plan to inherit the conglomerate. If she married Andrew, her family would undoubtedly throw their full support behind him. Then his enemies wouldn't just be Andrew and his mother. His odds of success would plummet instantly. Andrew was a debauched man, even more so than Damon portrayed him to be. Naturally, Carolyn looked down on him. Damon knew Carolyn actually liked him, but he also knew she liked money more than him. Their families had been all lies for generations, so they knew his true origins. No matter how relentlessly he pursued her, Carolyn could only marry Andrew. Thus, besides cleverly planting evidence of Andrew's infidelity in Carolyn's home, he had to feign deep affection for her. As long as he persisted in his pursuit, Carolyn's resolve would waver, delaying her wedding to Andrew by one more day. "Actually, I've been keeping tabs on you all along." Damon's words made me realize, "You were the one who donated to my grandmother?" Damon nodded. "My father was a police officer. After arresting a thief, he was deliberately targeted for revenge. At the time, only my grandmother was home. The elderly woman, frail and vulnerable, was so terrified by the burglar that she ended up hospitalized. Along with the doctor's critical condition notice came a staggering medical bill. My dad is a kind-hearted man who's helped countless colleagues and strangers over the years. Our savings couldn't cover the massive surgery costs, and Grandma even begged the doctors to let her die. My dad's anxious footsteps and my mom's quiet sobs pounded in my chest. That moment solidified my resolve to make money. "Thank you for saving my grandmother," I told Damon sincerely. "You're welcome. Just give yourself to me." When money was involved, I could instantly detach from any emotional response. A proposal without even a ring? Just a dry statement? "You really are a money-grubbing girl. How about shares in my corporation?" My eyes lit up instantly. Really. No backing out, though. Damon laughed and pulled me into his arms. "As long as you stay by my side, all my money and myself are yours." I was basking in the joy of becoming a wealthy woman when something suddenly fell off. "You've been watching me all these years so I could become your paid stand-in." Damon laughed mockingly at me. "Silly girl, you're just now catching on? With your reaction speed, you'd be counting the money for the seller after being sold." "What the hell is going on?" "Well, I desperately wanted you by my side, but feared someone else might snatch you away. So I guided you step by step into signing that contract with me." It clicked. "So you did this on purpose." Damon kissed my lips. "You could say it was meticulously planned, a long brewing scheme." Extra chapter, when I tiptoed to grab my ice cream from the delivery guy, I was terrified Damon would catch me. But as the saying goes, what you fear most is what happens. The moment I turned around, Damon was standing right behind me, arms crossed over his chest, looking absolutely furious. "Don't you know you're on your period? And you're eating ice cream." Quick-witted, I put on a brave front. "Experts say it's a myth that you can't eat ice cream during your period." "Which expert? Can he take your stomach cramps for you? Or buy me hot milk tea instead?" I pouted, looking aggrieved. "You won't even let me have ice cream. My status in this household has plummeted since marrying you." Damon sighed. Fine. Go ahead. Don't come crying to me when your stomach hurts." I happily curled up on the couch with my ice cream. Watching TV, just 3 scoops. I wasn't about to prove how fragile I was, but karma struck unexpectedly. 5 minutes after finishing, I was writhing in pain on the couch. Trying not to give Damon ammunition, I endured it, but couldn't help but let out a few whimpers. Hearing my distress, Damon, who'd been working on documents, shut down his computer and rushed to the kitchen. As he left, he muttered, "I really owe you one." I called him back. "Come back." He reluctantly turned back. "What? Cover me up." Damon sighed but obediently bent down to tuck the blanket around me. As he bent over, I lifted my head and planted a smack on his cheek. "Go buy me bubble tea. Don't forget the pearls." Damon cupped the back of my head and kissed me twice more. "Got it, Grandma." When I received Andrew and Caroline's wedding invitation, I was utterly baffled. If Caroline never loved Andrew, why insist on marrying him? Who in the business world doesn't know Caroline and Andrew were betrothed long ago? And who doesn't know Caroline was head over heels for Andrew, clinging to him relentlessly? If she'd unilaterally called off the engagement just because the company changed hands, Caroline's family's petty schemes would be common knowledge. I snapped out of it, and Caroline is Andrew's best option right now. Damon ruffled my hair. "My wife is so smart." TSK. I seethed with jealousy. Back then, who was it who said one was his beloved, and the other was just there to please him? Damon tickled my nose, cut me some slack. Back then, I had no choice. Who was his heartthrob had nothing to do with me. From start to finish, I only ever wanted to please you. His words soothed me. "You pass?" Damon chuckled. "Thanks, my dear wife."